Okay, gonna do something a little bit different. This is Juanita in the kitchen, my kitchen, and I am prepping and doing a new dish that I've never done before. First thing that I'm going to talk to you about is what is the recipe. And the recipe is a vegetarian dish, and actually you could make that into a meal. This dish is called quinoa black bean casserole. I've made a couple changes to it, but it is a dish that is very low in fat, and so for that reason I think I'm going to like it. The other reason I think I'm going to like it is it does have black beans in it, which is one of my most favorite foods. So I'm going to do step by step here with you. I've prepped most of my items, so we'll be going through the recipe. I will post that on my blog for you to use. Now, made one modification with this is I do not really relish sweet potatoes. So instead of using sweet potatoes, I'm using white potatoes in the recipe. So I have all of my ingredients here in front of me. It says preheat the oven to 350, which I've already done. And then it says prepare a 9-inch by 9-inch casserole dish with non-stick cooking spray. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, get that all ready. I do like this recipe because it does have the black beans in it. Black beans are great for fiber. I've cooked those up in advance, and it says in a large bowl mix together the quinoa, the black beans, the sweet potato, half cup of the cheese, the cumin, the salt, and the pepper. It calls for 1 cup of cooked quinoa. Quinoa is an ancient grain, and it's very high in protein. Make that a level 1 cup. So I'm going to put my quinoa in there. It does call for 3 cups of cooked black beans. Now, on my black beans, what I've done, and I like to use my crock pot for things, and so what I have done is also added onions and garlic to this. It's 1 cup. I do like to use the crock pot covers when I cook in my crock pot, because that way I don't have to clean the crock pot. So it calls for 3 cups of beans. I also put some spinach in here as well, some frozen and then cooked in the beans. As I go, I'm going to go ahead and put things into the sink. And I've pre-shredded my potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and dump that all in. It calls for 2 large potatoes. But if you do like sweet potatoes, go ahead and put sweet potatoes in. Those are just a little bit higher in fiber than your white potatoes. Plus, I didn't put the skin. I didn't leave the skin on the white potatoes. Half a cup of the cheese. Little bit of a mess there, so I put half a cup of cheese in there, and the cumin and the salt. Now it actually only calls for a liberal pinches of salt and pepper, and I have actually put in a half of a teaspoon of the pepper, half of a teaspoon of the salt, and it calls for 1 tablespoon of cumin. Now, I'm not a big cumin fan. Not a big cumin fan. I am not. So it says to mix together. I'll go ahead and mix this all together. It's smelling good. So this is what it looks like all mixed together. Use my fingers and get that out. Then it says to mix together the eggs and the salsa in a small bowl. Go ahead and use a fork for this. So I have 2 eggs. One cup of salsa. If you like hot salsa, that's great. I tend to like the mild. Then it says pour the salsa mixture over the quinoa bean mixture, then pour everything into the prepared casserole dish. Get out the last of the egg salsa mixture. Curious how this will come out. Then it says to pour everything into the prepared casserole dish. Boom. Kind of arrange it a little bit. Mix the egg mixture in different places. Guessing that the egg is going to kind of hold things together here. And it says sprinkle the remaining cheese over the top. Bake uncovered for 30 minutes. Well, the 30 minutes is almost up and about to pull out my casserole dish. In fact, I've done 2 casserole dishes and about to pull those out. So 22 more seconds that it will be done. So this recipe, high in fiber and also nice choice for extra protein because of the beans and the quinoa. I did make extra of the quinoa just because if I'm going to cook something, I want to go ahead and cook it once and maybe have a little bit extra to cook with another dish with. Go ahead and take this out of the oven. Like I said, I have 2 casseroles that I made. I like to do double sometimes. A friend of mine's oven is not working, so I actually made one for her. This is one of those dishes. I did a little bit something different with this one. I actually just mixed everything up together instead of following the recipe exactly. And this is the one that I did the recipe exactly. But there's not that much of a difference between the two as far as it looks like consistency. And it smells delicious. As a way to serve this on a plate, the serving size is a 1-cup portion, so that would probably be a little square right there. And they recommend cilantro and maybe a little dollop of low-fat sour cream on top if you like that. And I am looking forward to having this as a dish. I hope you've enjoyed, and it has been my pleasure to be with you in the kitchen, which is pretty neat, and I'm sure I'm going to do this again.